Hey guys, it's Tarek with Cyclone FPV, and now we're on part 2 of our series on the FrSky Apus MQ60. So let's just jump right to it. As you can see, if you remember correctly, on the first series, we took everything apart. We had a brand new one, and we've disassembled it. And now we're going to go through the process of reassembling it, okay? So we have our bin here of screws and other things that we put, and then we have our little list that we went over that I said how I labeled these and what they correlate to. So now what we're going to do is we're basically going to go back and put it back in reverse order. So the way we took it apart, now we're going to go back. So we're going to end up going from 4, 3, 2, and 1 on our screws. And so to do that, remember, we're going to start with 4, and these are the rubber rings here that hold the motor wires in place, okay? So to put those back in, remember that your motor, when you put your flight controller in, all right, depending on which we're looking at the front, so when you put your flight controller in, let me see if it even matters how we're going to do the front here. So the way they've got the front is if you flip your frame over, okay, where if you look right here, you're going to have, just to differentiate the back of the drone from the front of the drone, if you look right here, this is where your battery slides in, all right? The gap, the larger gap here is the front. So there's a short gap from the end of this piece to the rubber part here where the screw goes in. There's a larger gap from here to the front. So remember that this is the front, okay? So what we want to do is we want to go ahead and we're actually going to put our flight controller in so that we can put our motor wires on and then put these rubber rings on. So let's set the rubber rings aside. Let's turn our drone frame over. And as you can see here, you have this larger gap here with all this space. That's the front of your drone right here. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our flight controller just like this, and we're going to line it up with these 4 pieces that are sticking up, and those are going to go through these rubber standoffs that are right here. Feed your wire for your battery through the side, just like that. And then gently press these standoffs over these standing up rubber pieces that you see right here and right here. And you should see them come right through just like that, okay? So there we go. Once this is in place, you'll notice now everything's in place here, and our flight controller isn't going anywhere. Now we can go ahead and we can plug in our motors, all right? So to plug in your motors, what you're going to want to do is you're going to notice that on your plugs here, you have a solid white area with a little clip, and if you flip it over, you can see the open exposed area, okay, of your clip right there, right? So let me zoom in here, see if I can show you this a little bit better. So let's do like this. All right, let's just do it like that. And again, if you look at the clips here, if you flip it over, you can see the actual metal prongs. And if you flip it the other way, it's just plain white. So what we want to do, let me zoom back out now. What we want to do is we want to take the plain white portion and we're going to aim that towards the center of the frame. All right, so it's just going to pop in just like that. Okay, it won't be able to go in the other way, and I just want to avoid you guys having to force it in there and there being a problem. So again, take your wire, make sure you have the all white side, and again, what you're going to do here is you're going to aim on this motor. You're going to aim these away, all right, from the center. So you have one side going towards the center and one side going away. Okay. So again, we're going to look at the black and white. We're going to take the all white side of this and we're going to point this towards the center and pop it in. And then when we do the red and blue, we're going to take the all white center and we're going to point it out towards the outside of the frame. So they're basically in reverse order, okay? Once we have those in, once you get that in, you want to take your motor wire and you just want to just kind of wrap it around just a little bit to where it doesn't have any slack left to go into the propeller, okay? Just like this, just kind of run it, and you can just kind of run it around the edge there. And this way we're going to pull the wire slack out. And then we're going to take our rubber rings and we're just going to feed it over the motor housing, and we're going to make sure that that wire gets in there as well so that we can hold it against the housing and keep it from going into the motor, just like that. Once you get it on there, just roll it up, and there you go. And there's a motor that's done. And just repeat the process. Just be careful not to break it. Just repeat the process by putting it over the housing. There you go. And then just roll it down the housing just like that, and that's going to hold the wire in place. All right. go. And now we have all four wires, all four motor wires are in place. The rubber housings, or the rubber pieces to hold them together, rubber bands, are over the housing now, holding the wires in place, so they're not going to be getting into the motor at all, or into the propellers. Now we're going to flip this back over, and with our frame standing up, we want to go ahead now and plug back in our camera. And in this case with the camera, you're going to want to take the solid white side of the camera, the plug, and aim it down so that you have the metal prong showing in the top, and you want to plug that right in to this little white slot right here. There you go. And you can just kind of leave your camera sitting there for a minute, all right? Then what we're going to want to do is we have that one screw, right, that goes in the front of the drone right here. And that was in our slot number 3. That was the third thing. So we're going to take that, take our screwdriver, and we're going to put that into the front of our flight controller right there, and screw that into the plastic that's between that rubber standoff right there, and that's going to hold it in place. Now that we're done with this, we have to put the camera back in our canopy, and for that we're going to basically lift this up, and we're going to take the antenna, and we need to feed the antenna through the top hole of this canopy, okay? So you want to line it up, make sure you get the antenna through, just like that, and then just try to line it up to where you have the camera in between these two pieces here that you're going to screw into, okay? So you're going to line it up like that, and then we're going to go back, and to just make sure that you have it right, you should be able to press this button on the side and still hear it click. That's how you know you have it lined up properly, okay? Now we need to go back to our number 2 container, and we're going to get the screws out that we used to hold the camera in place. We're going to put the plastic piece right here, and we're going to get the screws and screw that in to hold the camera in place. So here goes. And you got to be careful because that thing does want to fall out a little bit. Do that. All right, once you get one side down, you get the screw, you can go and do the other side. All right, there you go. And again, flip it over, and you'll notice that on this plastic piece that you're using, there's it's kind of flat on one side and it's got a bump on the other, a little bit of a raise. The raised part should go in towards the camera. All right, so this should be nice and smooth here. And then when you flip this over, just verify that you can go to the side of this and press the button and hear it click, so you can change your channel for your camera if you're using goggles, okay? And once you're done with that, you've only got one step left, and that is going to be to go back to the original 3 screws that we removed. And for this, you're going to want to basically tuck your camera wire somewhere in the canopy to get it out of the way. Make sure it's free and clear of where you're going to put your screws in. And then we're going to put our 3 screws back, and I'm going to start with this one on the right-hand side. So let me just put that screw in there. I'm going to line it up right here with the hole where it's going to screw into. And I'm going to go ahead and fasten that down. Now I'm not going to tighten it too tight. I just want to get it to where the canopy holds in place. Okay, there we go. And that's good enough for me so that I can go back and make sure that none of my wire is going to be in the way of the other 2 screws that I'm going to be putting down. And now it's not. I verified that, so I'm going to take my second screw. I'm going to go ahead and put this one in the back. So just drop it in there. And then make sure that you look to see that it's going into the right spot there, right above that rubber standoff. And you can screw that one down. And then just finger tighten it. Don't crank on it too hard, because it will strip out. Just kind of tighten it just like that. It's all good now. Go back and do this one. I said we weren't going to tighten it. Now you can just go ahead, and once you just got it nice and tight like that. And then we're going to do the 3rd screw right here. Drop that right in. And there you go. We've now, make sure that lines up actually. Hold on one second. It's Make sure that lines up, and it does there. You may have to move it just a little bit, and then I've got to line mine up better here. Hold on one second. There we go. Perfect. All right. Now I'm going to screw that down. And again, you don't have to crank on it too hard. Just want to get that in place. All right, there we go. And once that's done, you're finished. You have now disassembled and reassembled the entire Apus MQ60. Congratulations. Should look just like this. And what you're going to do is we're going to go over the next steps of putting in the battery and getting it configured and doing all those things. But listen, guys, that's an excellent job. I hope you guys were able to get this done with no problem. Looks good. It's all put back together properly. And now we're going to come back with another video on how to get the battery charged, go over the charging of the battery, and then also get this on beta flight. And then we're going to get it bound to your radio, and you guys are going to get started flying. If you have any questions, please head over to our Facebook page, Cyclone FPV. And then if you want, please also subscribe to our YouTube channel right here. That always helps us and it shows us some support. Other than that, be safe, guys, and we shall see you soon.